get myself a drink.
That's the first one I walked in. I was like, where's the beer?
Is this?
Hard Mountain Dew? Interesting. Zero
Baja
sugar.
Blast. I found this at a Jewel-Osco.
So hard. Wait, is this the thing that you wanted to review?
Yeah, I could just talk about it and stuff like that, you know.
Well,
we're kind of...
Are we going to do a whole... So this is... Hey, everybody, welcome to College Stream. This is episode 418 and a half. I'm one of your hosts. My name's Brendan.
418.5, version 2.0. Hi, I'm your other host, Alex. Through the magic of the internet, I also had a clothing change.
Well, now
Brendan's wearing black like he always is, like he's Paladin.
Well, no,
Have gun will travel.
So, Alex, typically our half episodes are things deleted from the previous episode. This time we're actually doing a real episode 418.
Yes, it's been edited by Ridley Scott's editor.
We I don't even know. Okay, what did you wanted to talk about your drink?
Yeah. So the Mountain Dew Baja Blast is a meme drink to begin with. I'm not a huge fan of Baja Blast as it is.
I don't know that I've ever had Baja Blast. Is it yellow?
Usually it's like this aquamarine color, and it's primarily found at Taco Bell, where it's always pretty much been as a soft, like out of the dispenser. And even though there's a whole thing about how soda fountain dispensing pop is far better tasting than bottled or canned, and I fully agree. For like if you go to like McDonald's and you get Coca-Cola there, it's like fantastic, you know, apart from having like the real sugar type of Coca-Cola. I've never been a fan of Baja Blast and never quite understood the love and adoration of it, kind of like it's Szechuan sauce back in the day.
Like you said, it's a meme drink. It's not really, you know.
Yeah, and even though it's from the dispenser, every time I've had it at Taco Bell, I drink it and be like, something's off. Like it's flat tasting or something like that. But
Taco Bell soda in general, there's something wrong. There's something off going on. Like they
carry Pepsi products.
Okay, well that's fair enough. But I just mean the balance between Pepsi flavor, Diet Pepsi flavor, and carbonation is always way off. And it's like every Taco Bell ever in the history of the world. So I don't know what their problem is, because other restaurants, like sit-down restaurants with Pepsi products, don't have this problem. Although, what kind of company only has Pepsi products? Does your wife prefer Pepsi?
She does. She comes from Pepsi household.
I'm going to write that down in a file.
Send that angry email to contact@culture.
When you need me at the hearing, I'll be like, well, Your Honor, I just want to bring to everyone's attention that this woman is a fan of Pepsi products.
Yeah, and I'd be over at her parents' house for dinner, and I'm like,
then she'd lose custody, and then you and the boys can move in with me.
With one dad who's down to earth, and one dad with his head in the clouds.
I think we're Father of the Year. You can count on me.
But I've had Baja Blast in a bottle also from the store. And I don't really care for the taste because I don't know what the flavor is supposed to be, because usually, you know, Mountain Dew's got like a citrusy flavor to it because they utilize, I think, orange juice or something in it. And every so often, from time to time, you have different additional flavors. Like there's the Code Red, which is always like the gamer flavor and stuff. There was the Live Wire, I think it was like an orange. There's been like an actual yellow one. The purple one's actually not too bad. I like the purple one. But the Baja Blast, I could never really figure out what the flavor was and stuff. So when I was at Jewel with Zachary, I saw that they were selling this, like a 12-pack of these, and it had the regular Baja Blast, and they had 3 additional flavors. There was this one mango, there's pineapple, and then there's Baja Blast with like fruit punch, so it's kind of a mix with flavor. And they're hard sodas, so they've got alcohol in it, which is probably just like the distilled grain spirit that you get in like a hard seltzer of some sort, because it's carbonated, and it's 5% by volume. And I've never been a fan of the hard soda pops. I've had like 1 or 2 in the past, like the root beer ones, like Not Your Dad's. And I don't know, I'm not going to necessarily give it a rating or anything because I have an aversion towards Baja Blast Mountain Dew. But yeah, it's just kind of weird how they're trying to kind of, make this whole flavor thing. You can see it's like this Marlin type of thing. And
It is definitely a Marlin type of thing.
yeah, I mean, I think it was like $20 too for the 12 pack, which granted it was also at a Jewel Osco. So, you've got the
So is that more of like a malted beverage?
kind of, yeah.
So
Because that was the thing before the hard seltzers, like the malted beverages were like the thing, and then they disappeared for like 6 years practically.
in my early days of illicit drinking, underage drinking, it was always Mike's Hard Lemonade was what, we talked about this
Smirnoff
before.
Ices.
Smirnoff Ice Sky Blue, I think, was the Sky branded one that came in the blue bottle, or Sky Ice or something. No, I guess it wasn't Sky Ice, but whatever.
Which I think Zima was like the originator of that whole thing.
the malted beverage.
Yeah, and then they had like the wine spritzers, which is very popular amongst the
Okay,
parents.
so it is. The parents. So yeah, this was big when I was a young man.
I like that. I like the color of that, but then you also you confuse that a lot of times with like, what was it, Bud Light Platinum, that came in a similar looking bottle.
Oh, is this
Sky Blue's
back
by Miller?
Is this back out? Oh, no longer being produced. Did you kill the fly, Alex?
I hope not. I did.
But so that was like the beverage of choice for young people who really weren't, most of us weren't aggressive alcoholics the way we are now. So we
No.
didn't really want to taste the alcohol.
Yeah, it was before hard seltzer, and it was really before like the big explosion of the micro brewing fad that took the country by storm and still is ongoing and stuff.
I was just talking to someone about how when I started going to bars in Chicago, when I first moved to Chicago, young guy in school, I drank Miller Lite, and then I discovered this magical distillery, this magical brewery called Goose Island. I was like, oh, this is a Chicago brewery. They make beer in Chicago?
And what's funny about that point, and I've talked about it before, sorry to interrupt, but whenever somebody is from Chicago and they find something that's made in Chicago, they have to automatically just carry the
Goose
the red stars and blue banner
okay,
and
see,
stuff.
there's an interesting thing about people who move to Chicago.
And then there's me who ate Chicago hot dogs.
Yeah, that's very disturbing information, but that's okay. I still love you in spite of your
I
flaws.
love deep dish.
No one's.
I love
okay,
deep dish.
That's what I mean. So I meet you halfway.
Yeah, all right.
But most people, okay, I think that there's the true born and raised Chicagoan. That's a type of person.
Sorry.
And then there's the suburb kid who moves to Chicago. That was me, but I've been here for almost 22 years.
Half your life.
Yeah, I've been here for almost 22 years. So I've been here for a long time.
At least you're from the local geographic area as opposed to some putz that's from like,
I grew up in the second largest,
Pennsylvania that moves here.
I grew up in the second largest city in the state. So it's like I started going to Chicago every weekend when I was our high school.
You're right.
I would go to film. I went to film school during the weekends when I was a sophomore at high
Is
school.
Aurora still the second largest, or has that been eclipsed by Naperville at this point?
No, Naperville's
Or Joliet?
No, Naperville's too rich to be the biggest because they don't let enough people into the actual city. Is Naperville even considered a city?
They do on Wikipedia.
No, what's the?
I think if you're a certain
cities.
if you're a certain population size, you can be considered like a city. Like Tokyo has various cities within it.
All right, 2023 Illinois cities by population.
Because otherwise, it would just be
Naperville
Chicago.
is number 4.
Ooh.
Aurora is still number 2 by a wide margin.
Okay. Joliet.
I like how it's like Chicago, 2.6 million. Next one, Aurora, 177,000. It's like, okay, that's a big drop. And then we get to
Want to
Joliet.
hear something? I'll tell you something.
Rockford? Really? Rockford?
Champagne.
90,000 people. Baby.
Champagne. I'm pretty sure Champagne, what they do a lot of times is because it's a noticeable college town, they just add the permanent student population to it.
Yeah, well. Champagne. These are all
Just
baby.
saying.
Everything. If you're out of the 6 digits, you're baby town. These aren't cities. These are towns. And you live in a village,
I do live in
which is a population of like 1,000.
No, we were like between 15 or 1,700.
I remember popping up a picture in an episode. It was like 1,200.
What you're going to do right now.
Which is right there. No,
right there.
right. God, I suck at this. There. Anyway, thank you for coming to Illinois History Corner.
Yes.
But so
We have more than just Lincoln.
the point we were getting at is that microbreweries really became a thing around the early 2000s, I feel. Because I didn't know anything about beer that didn't taste like Miller Lite until I moved to the city.
Yeah, the very first one that came to, apart from Goose Island, like a small local thing, the first one that came big on the national scene, I would say, was probably Sam Adams.
Oh, I forgot that was even considered a microbrewery.
It was at one point, and now I would consider it to be a macro because of the volume.
Goose Island's the same way. Goose Island, aside from a handful of beers that they still brew locally, like I think 312 is, and then there's a couple others that they still brew. There's actually a brewery down the street from my work. Most of it is made in like wherever and shipped all over the country.
I would kind of call some of them like a macro micro because they still give off this aura of being a small microbrewery, but their distribution territory is massive, like Dogfish Head. Like,
that's exactly what I
it's
was
a
thinking. I
microbrewery.
was
And
just
it's like,
thinking Dogfish
no,
Head.
it's pretty big, and I don't really care for the guy because he's kind of a pretentious prick. And then there's like other ones like the early ones like Sierra Nevada got big with their IPA thing. Yingling, which is another big, I would say it's a big geographic regional type of thing, but they don't really see it outside of that area. Pabst is another one, which it was small and then it got big because it was popular and cheap and the hipsters loved it, and then they made it a huge thing.
Right. 312 was the first, which it's funny to me. I've actually heard people, I think on YouTube videos, getting a beer from in New York or something. They get a 312 and they call it 312. And it's like, I get it. Like, why would they even know? It does. There's nothing. If you just buy this, it doesn't say it. You don't know it's an area code.
Right.
So like I get it, but it's funny because there's nobody around to correct them.
Yeah, you can be like, it's like brew tank number 312, or it's like barrel 312. Something you don't know what the meaning behind the numerics are.
But that was the first beer that I had that was not a Pilsner, basically, where I was sort of like, oh, this is different. This is very nice during the summer. So this is. I would like a 312, please, barkeep. That was
a slice of lemon.
When I was, yes. Well, that was more, what's that other wheat ale that's more?
Blue Moon.
Yes, Blue Moon with the orange slice. Yeah, that was what. So.
Yeah. And nowadays, I just got so turned off by micros. I'm just like, give me just like a Schlitz or something. Yeah, or like a Heilmann's or something like that.
Did you call this Heilmann's?
Heilmann's.
It's old.
Isn't it Heilmann's old style?
It is, but I never heard anyone call it a Heilmann's.
Well, I'm also going to go and order just the Rainey and Brooks. So
you're so pretentious.
I know.
This guy, pretentious.
Look at this guy. He's got a case of hams in his crotch. Drinking
because you were like
crummy soda pop.
So what's the ABV on that bad boy?
A solid 5.0.
Oh, okay, it's higher than a Heilmann's, which I think is like 4.2.
4.2, 4.3, yeah.
So it's the classic lager ABV. For your session of drinking.
This is my session of drinking. Zachary would be more interested. Nicholas is just like, man, Dad's doing this thing again with Uncle Brendan.
Aw. Yeah, so we're going to talk about slang in general. Specifically, our era, the 90s.
The 90s.
The millennial slang. Mm-hmm. And then developments in Gen Z slang, which are... What I'm trying to get at is...
Troubling.
Was our slang as embarrassing as what is happening with our successors?
Okay, let's see.
Okay, so let's take a look. We'll try to be as objective as we can about this.
Okay.
As I hit the wrong... God. All right, here we go.
Stand by.
Best slang terms from the 90s that aren't cool today. So this is what they're saying is the worst of the worst of the what we used to say. I'm already going to say in our defense, we did not use all of these words, all these phrases.
It was probably a very particular subset of individuals.
As if.
I only remember it being used in the connotation of that film, and that's it.
Oh, so you don't remember anyone ever actually using this?
Not in person, no.
As if.
And it was always in the trailer for that.
I mean, Wayne's World used that term. As if.
I've never actually seen Wayne's World, like start to finish.
Get the net.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely say that in the past I have said as if. Mm-hmm. It's something where like somebody was, and I'm like, as if, bro. All right, as if all that in a bag of chips. No way. No way. I don't believe anybody ever said that sincerely.
In a commercial, maybe.
People always say that kind of self-aware. It's like LOL. Mm-hmm. It's sort of, and maybe the people who said all that in a bag of chips started off self-aware and being like, I'm gonna, so because lol and LOL started off as, I'm gonna use this because I say it so much online and I'm aware that it's kind of silly to say this, and then it just became real.
I feel like more people, and I know I've said it before, but I feel like more people have said everybody and their grandmother way more than all that in a bag of chips, which is kind of the same thing.
Boomer category. Everybody and their grandmother. In my day, it wasn't a bag of chips. It was my grandma.
We used to say cowabunga.
Cowabunga was 80s, I think. Late 80s.
It was more like all that Ninja Turtles stuff lingo was very surfer talk.
Yeah.
I think like beach surfer stuff. Yeah.
Radical, man.
Tubular. Oh.
Today, we use the word like as a filler in our conversations, but in the 90s, the go-to term was all. She was all, and then he was all. I think that's fair. You don't remember this?
Yeah, now that I think, yeah.
Because I was all
what was
like,
it? Yada, yada, yada.
And she was all like...
and then they were all...
and then we both
Netflix
were all...
and chill. What's Netflix and chill? Your kids are going to love that one.
It's too early for you, but your kids are going to like it. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. It sounds horrible to say out loud. Da bomb. It was da bomb.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
You said yes? You said da bomb or the bomb? It's that's the bomb. Sincerely? Mm-hmm. Wow, good for you. I did not say that.
Oh. I mean, I didn't either.
Booyah. Yeah, booyah.
Yes, booyah was that was the thing.
Fly.
Yeah.
I don't know that I used fly in a sincere tone. I definitely used it. I remember with a girl I was dating, I was explaining to her how I wanted, if I had children, I would get them cool polos, sort of like what I'm wearing right now. And she got very weird about it and was like, that's terrible. That's white man talk. And I was like, this is in 2005. I'm not making that up. She was very like, that's like preppy white boy shit. And I'm not okay with that. And I was like, I was just hypothetically talking. And so I sent her a picture of a little boy in a polo shirt and had like the little bubble next to him being like, how come mom won't let me wear my fly polos? And
how come Billy's mom lets him wear those sweet fly polos?
They're
the bomb.
They're the bomb. Booyah.
Booyah.
Whatever.
Yeah, that was used quite a lot.
Yeah,
just as like a dismissive type of thing in casual conversation.
Right. That's interesting. I just realized something. Oh, that's fine.
These all look like a bunch of like old Zoomers in these photos.
They're young millennials in these photos.
The younger millennials. Oh. But did they even watch Clueless?
Loser.
Oh yeah. Well, loser was done with the L, and then whatever was done with the W.
Wu-Tang?
Yeah. Wu-Tang. Wasn't Wu-Tang like...
That was Chappelle show.
Wu-Tang.
Was he? Did he? Maybe he did do this. Did he? Oh, maybe I'm doing it wrong.
He did. No,
It's
no,
a very
no,
white
that-
boy. No, he did it. He did. It's the episode of When Keeping It Real Goes Wrong, in the boardroom, and he's like, "All right, here's an aside.
Let's go watch Chappelle Show.
Let's go. Let's watch a better show than our show. Yeah, Vernon Franklin. This is it. This is the. So let's see what he does.
Play the game.
This isn't the Vernon I know.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Ho. You never heard that before, huh? Rap was dangerous. I used to beat motherfuckers up just like you, just for walking around my way, nigga.
Vernon's buddy.
You better sit the fuck down, Frank. I said, sit down, bitch. Thug life. Then it's a game, nigga. Wu-Tang.
Okay, so you were right. It is Wu-Tang. I'm like confusing like Cubs shit with with the Vernon Franklin.
Like the W, like the Wu-Tang is like this. It's like these wingy type of things. These kids don't know who Wu-Tang is.
Love you.
Which actually, I
Wu-Tang
rented the Wu-Tang video game from Blockbuster one time, which was like their whole like enter the 9,000 fingers of death shit, like ninja stuff and things like that. It was actually pretty decent. Like back then you had like Def Jam, which was like Street Fighter with like, I mean, I would main DMX all the time, obviously, but
This is my. I love this because this is a picture of you, me, and Stu, or Pat Shea if we had been doing dumb stuff
when we were like 9.
Yeah, if the internet had existed in 1997, this is what we would have been doing. Talking about 6ix9ine and the street code. And I just love that the spirit continues through younger generations. Like the kids are all right. Speaking of the kids,
which starter Pokemon is best starter Pokemon?
but yeah, speaking of the kids being all right, loser, my bad's still a thing. I say that. Oh, that's my bad. I'm sorry.
I think so. I think our circle of
Say it with you.
people we interact with and stuff like that around our age bracket, we'll sometimes. No duh. Yeah, that was a big thing back when I was in grade school, like my class. But then it was like no duh, it became like duh, and became like duh. Then it became
The etymology of
evolution. It comes out of the primordial waters.
it's
and it
like
gains legs.
it's
and
actually
it starts walking upright.
but it's inverted. It's the de-evolution of no duh to duh to duh, and then every iteration after that.
Carlos Mencia.
I mean, no duh. I guess I say that still, or like, well, duh. So it's like the client wants you to get this done as quickly as possible.
Well, duh.
It's sort of when people articulate the obvious. I think this is still totally in use today. Talk to the hand. That one, no. That one was, like, not offensive as to ignorant. It was ignorant when it first arrived. It was so dismissive and disrespectful that I mean, although it was a woman thing, incidentally, this was totally a girl thing to do. And I guess, yeah, in grade school, girls did this, and the gay boys did this. They would do the like shun, that.
Yeah, it's Yas Queen.
Not.
I was more of a goofy, stupid kid thing to do.
Yeah, but I was guilty of it as an 8-year-old. Again, very Wayne's World.
Well, yeah, I would have to say a lot of these were something that was more prevalent within like younger people,
Well,
like
of course,
teenagers and kids instead of just like
point.
adults.
That's the point. That's what slang is, Alex. Come on. I know you. I know that you've always been. I know you've always been an irritated 4-year-old since you were 8. But like, oh no, she didn't. Oh snap! Cool beans. That is very millennial. I know. Liz still says cool beans. Your mom, yo mama.
Yo mama jokes.
I don't like you anymore. Well, I don't like your mama.
Did they even use that properly?
We still do. We still do. Like that's what your mom said, or like even on on the Chans, someone will be like, I don't think that I don't think I could keep up with this. That's what your mom said last night. You know what I mean? Like that's still that's still
It's a take on the whole
common
thing,
retort. Bounce. I'm about to bounce.
Well, I'm gonna bounce.
Our ride is here. Let's bounce.
I don't even tell people I'm like leaving at a party. So I just kind of like I'm always like, I just follow.
That's
Erica.
That's the. I just follow where my wife tells me to go. Dip, it's the same thing. Midnight got a dip, bounce. Crib. Crib was too. Urban. I was trying to not say urban, but yes, it was the.
Oh come on! Like how many kids from the burbs did you know be saying that stuff?
Speaking of being urban, you're getting urban with each beer you have. Yeah, no, it was like MTV Cribs. It was sort of another like very self-aware. Like if you're saying crib and you're a suburban white kid,
you're from Winnetka.
If you're from Winnetka saying crib, it's like no.
Got frosted tips.
I do know
your like visor cap backwards, flipped upside down.
I do know. I still up until
got a Steve McNair Titans jersey.
Up until like 2018, I still know people knew people who used that sincerely.
Really? And they shared their studio apartment with a roommate?
No, they were not Caucasian.
Oh, but they still lived in the studio apartment with a roommate. This is my crib. Who's that? That's my roommate. He's got that half of the
Oh no, his
room.
name is Crib. This is my crib.
This is Crib. I own him. He's my gimp.
Dope. Very occasional.
Yeah, we will still use dope to this day from time to time.
Home skillet? No. Take a chill pill. Get this guy.
Yeah, when somebody's like going bonkers on, like freaking out on your ass, and I was like, dude, take a chill pill.
I usually am like, hey, it's funny.
I've got several
it's one of
here.
the it's one of those things where whenever somebody's freaking out, the worst thing you can do is tell them to calm down.
Calm down.
So even when sorry,
before I shoot you.
Liz. When a coworker is like,
oh, this is a very Liz centric topic.
Is freaking out. I'm always like, deliberately, will be like, hey, calm down. I know you're freaking out, but you need to calm down. You know, just because I know that it provokes people more to be told to calm down when they're freaking out.
And then you slowly start cracking a smile as you say that out.
Well, you gotta like tip your hand a little bit, otherwise they will get pissed off. Or especially the best thing to do, one of my techniques, is when someone is just kind of mildly irritated, and sort of like, why is there this extra charge for water on my bill? I'm like, hey, Liz, calm down. And she's like, I'm not. I'm like, hey, calm down, Liz. We'll get it sorted. Word. Oh, word?
I never used it.
No. This was not our people.
No.
Bugging out. I never even.
Oh God, what is that thing in the background? It's a ginger vampire.
That is a human.
A daywalker.
That is a human male. What's up? Oh God.
If you were a beer commercial back in the 90s,
I think that what's up or sup. I mean, sup a little bit, maybe a little bit of sup. Like so. That fine, but like the exaggerated "what's up," that's a boomer.
Wow, nah.
That's a boomer thing. That's not a millennial thing.
What was I gonna say about this? How are you? What are you up to?
Sup, dude. I would say that's something I would still kind of like slur my way into. Seeing somebody who I don't really talk to that often, but I want to acknowledge their existence in the hallway, and so I would just be like,
You walk by them and you're like
although at this point in my life, it would be "what's up."
The facial
It would be like,
sup.
"Hey, what's up?" I would still say, "Hey, what's up?" Maybe in high school. High school was "sup," and there was like a
you and me in the hallway.
How did you not get bullied in high school?
I didn't do anything to
You
really
would say
get
what's
bullied.
you, me, in the
I don't think so.
hallway. That's enough to get bullied.
No. I was meaning like when you and I were walking past each other in the hallway. You would have beaten me up.
I didn't beat up anybody. I didn't do anything. I just hid. I hid.
Oh, okay.
No, I just mean like if you said that to somebody more aggressive.
Oh no, I never. I was quiet most of the time.
That's how you don't get beaten up. I
also
was just
played
going
Magic,
to say,
so.
I was literally just going to
That was
say,
a-
don't play
that was
Magic in the hallway and keep your head down.
That was a one-way first class ticket to beat downtown.
Pound Town. and not in the good way.
No, all guys school type of way.
50 assaulted in the showers. 50 Gen Z slang words you need to know to keep from becoming chuggy. I remember chuggy. We talked about this on the old episodes. Previously on Culture Doom. This is from June, so it's not even that. So chuggy is still a word of choice for the zoomies. We're not going to go through all of these. Fam, whatever. CEO. I'm the CEO of Based. Like that kind of. Is that what that is? It must be.
Stan. Cancel.
Stan.
Cancel culture. E-boy, E-girl.
W. W's been a thing forever. This seems parade. This seems already elderly.
I feel like they went on B one day and they just.
Well, I feel like they went on B
words.
and said, "Hi, I'm from Parade Magazine. Tell me what the cool words are."
So
And so it's just like
I borrow it. Promise I
tubular.
won't make it too similar.
Ghosting?
Ghosting is just something that they. I mean, that's just everybody. It's everybody talks about.
Okay.
Ghosting. Salty.
Finna, that's from our generation. You finna raise up and get your travel on? From the interior to the exterior. You about to get your posterior in this big ass plane. It's the Delta commercial. All right. Finna, really? Finna? Bougie for bourgeois. I like that they can't even articulate that it's from bourgeois. Is what bougie comes from.
What's Parade Magazine? Who does Parade Magazine appeal to?
70-year-old women.
It's like
What's
Women's
the
World.
cover of Parade Magazine look like?
Oh boy, here we go. Which Reese Witherspoon is probably up there. She'd be a cover girl for that now. Bunch of old women. Oh my gosh. Wait, Parade Magazine is what you get in the Chicago Tribune.
What? It doesn't mean it's only the Chicago Tribune.
Or it I mean, I would always get that. I mean, I would get that and the comics, and then the advertisements, hoping for like a Toys R Us ad. I'd get the like internal plastic thing on the Sunday edition, and my dad would be like, "Where's all the ads?" And I was like,
distributed
"Ooh."
in 700 newspapers in the United States until 2022. The most widely read magazine in the United States. All right, so anyway, moving on.
Okay. Yes.
High key. The opposite of low key. Like I'm low key, not a fan of this, as opposed to I'm high key fan.
of moving on
Simp.
from this.
Simp is contemporary.
Yes.
That face one? Or that feeling one? I thought it was that face one.
That feeling one. Yeah, I mean, we know it is
That
being
face
that
one.
face.
She keeps sucking, but you already came.
Sip tea. I hate that shit. Spill the tea, sip the tea. I hate that. I hate that.
Why do you hate that? Why do you hate Kermit? Taking an L, drip, swag, yeah. If you know, you know.
Tick.
Sheesh.
Oh. Sheesh?
Oh, wow. It's opposites. This is different.
That was opposite day?
Sheesh is used to hype up someone if they're looking good or doing something good. This is kind of a weird amalgamation of internet slang and actual Zoomy talk. So like cap, yes, cap is real Zoom talk.
I feel like some of these words are also kind of intermingled with the millennials.
Like if you know,
Like,
you know is very millennial as far as I remember.
Yeah, living rent free. I
Also
think
very-
a lot of millennials use that also.
Bet is Gen Z. I hear the young people say that.
Drag.
What a drag. Oh. Why are you dragging on me? Don't drag.
Oh, interesting.
I'm weak.
That's just a sentence.
That summarizes Gen Z in their own slang. I'm weak. Main character. Sit.
Main character. Sending me slaps.
No.
Busted.
Sis. Alex. Sis.
Ah. Wait, what? Used to greet a friend no matter what.
That
Why?
is from like 1970. That is not anywhere close to being a millennial or a Zoomer term. This shit slaps.
Shit slaps.
What's the meme? And oh fuck, it's the Tears for Fears.
Everybody wants to.
Tears for Fears Zoomer meme. Let's see if it comes. Oh, there it is. I find it kind of bussin'. I find it kind of cap. The dreams in which I'm dying are the ones that kind of slap. It's perfect. Bussin'. Sus. You use sus genuinely without hesitation last episode, and don't think I didn't.
I do.
I didn't notice that.
I do use sus quite a bit.
You're
I
like,
try to infiltrate.
hey you, that
You know what? With the Zoomers,
that
what
antenna is
I am,
kind of sus.
I'm like that Far Side comic. There's a guy like a research professor, and he's in a cave with bears, and he's writing down on a pen, like a notepad, and going like he's trying to learn like the bears' language and stuff, and he's like zippu, zippa, zipper. Ah, yes, that's the word zipper. And it's like the caption says is day 49, and Dave has discovered that the bears have learned like that he's wearing a zipper because he's wearing a bear suit, and they're like, he's like, oh, the bear, I'm learning the bear's language. So I try to infiltrate with the Zoomers so I can get to like their language.
So far,
How
you
do
just
you
have
do, fellow
sus.
kids? Clapback, goat. We use goat too. Small.
Small as opposed to swall. Snatched. They look pretty good, or really good, particularly in their outfit. It's like
Snatched.
show me your fit. You're looking pretty snatched. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I have no idea.
Anyway, so let us know. Leave a comment below what your favorite Gen Z slang is that Alex and I should start to incorporate to seem like the young people that we used to be when we were cool.
Five.
Cool. Yeah, I guess I kind of peaked when I was 10, I'd say. I had a nice tight little body. I was playing kickball and baseball and, you know, running around, having a good time. And then 5th grade was rough, and it all kind of went downhill from there. Alex.
Yeah, you can talk about Barbenheimer?
No, I'm not. I only went to see Oppenheimer.
Oh, thank goodness.
Although there's somebody nearby that I know who kept saying Oppenheimer. Is that just an insane person talking? I've never heard that before in my life.
I've never heard of Oppenheimer.
Okay, so he's just an insane person. He made me self-conscious, like I was saying it wrong. You know, like when someone is like too assertive of a pronunciation, and then you're like, oh. It's like when I say it, like if somebody's talking about anime, and then you're like, well, yeah, one of my favorite anime is Akira. And they're like, oh, yes, I'm a big fan of Akira myself.
Oh.
And then it's like,
or
right,
Naruto.
Naruto. So when he kept saying Oppenheimer, I was like, am I an idiot? Was I the idiot all along?
Yeah. No, it's Oppenheimer. I mean, otherwise, like the movie about his big thing, if they're mispronounced, if Oppenheimer himself is mispronouncing his own name in the film,
yeah,
you know, it's pretty bad.
So yeah, I went to see Oppenheimer. I saw it on 70mm at Chicago's lovely, beautiful Music Box Theater. In the second best way to see it, Chicago shamefully, Illinois shamefully does not have a true IMAX theater anymore. Navy Pier was the closest.
Which I was surprised about, because I asked you about that, like, why not Navy Pier? And you're like,
I saw Interstellar there, and they had switched to laser projection when we went to see Dunkirk, which is why we didn't go see Dunkirk there. We went to the Music Box to see it on film, the way God intended.
And God, his name is what's his face?
The Christian Catholic patron saint of film, which is Christopher Nolan.
Saint Christopher Nolan.
Saint Nolan.
He's just sitting there. He's like this, and he has a halo, and he has like a
film
camera
strip. That would be a great. I want to
put that in your mom's front yard, right next to Saint Francis.
Wait, no, it's like what are those called? Icons. Mm-hmm. Get an icon of Christopher Nolan with his film camera.
And they're like, yeah.
But yeah, the closest place to go see IMAX 1570mm is Indianapolis or Cedar Rapids. Not Cedar Rapids. Grand Rapids. Cedar Rapids is in Iowa,
Michigan?
I think. Yeah. Yep.
Why? Oh, God.
It's embarrassing. It's truly an embarrassment.
So St. Louis doesn't have it?
No.
Milwaukee doesn't?
Nope.
Minneapolis?
Nope. Well, maybe Minneapolis, but I was looking at the closest places. And
But we got a giant silver bean, guys.
What I'm hoping is that once things are kind of evened out, because the Navy Pier IMAX left during COVID, but they had already pulled the film projector before that. Interstellar was the last time they showed film there. So what I want to happen is for financial stability to return to Navy Pier, and then IMAX moves back in because the screen's still there.
Brendan, I mean, I don't even think Santa Claus could make that wish come true. I mean, we are talking about the Chicago budget.
So Oppenheimer is a 3-hour epic that everybody knows about, and realistically, everybody has already decided if they want to see this movie or not, if they're interested in it. I would say that you should definitely see it. It is a highly compelling, very exciting, very thrilling, harrowing story, and told in a very compelling way by a very good filmmaker who, even when he's kind of rough around the edges, like Tenet was kind of a rougher outing from him.
Yeah, Tenet had other extenuating circumstances.
I still enjoyed the movie, though. Like, it was still a fun thing to see. And I saw that at the Music Box during COVID, where it was the best way to see it. Did you go? You haven't gone to a movie theater in like 10 years.
Honestly, maybe Dunkirk.
Yeah,
that might have been
with me. I think it was.
Yeah. Erica's been to the movie theater.
It nearly killed Erica.
It nearly killed my pregnant wife.
I forgot that it was. Yeah, it was that. I forgot that she was pregnant during that.
I forgot she was pregnant.
So anyway, moving on from that story, there's a lot going on, and I could see why people are a little like, oh, why would I go see a weird biopic with just in like this grand presentation, and it's like shockingly, it's Nolan using everything that he's learned over the past 20 years of making movies. He's taken all of that and kind of shoved it into what on paper should be this kind of slow, methodical, boring,
very dry,
yeah, boring in a good way. But in the hands of like Paul Thomas Anderson, this would be still 3 hours long and feel like it was 6.
Yeah,
you know, and that's not a ding at Paul Thomas Anderson. I love his style of films too.
It's just the way that his films kind of come out to be in the end.
I would compare this movie to Christopher Nolan's version of like his The Master, where it's a focused look at one person, one human, and their relationships and the world that they make for themselves, and they're very driven and they're very focused on something. They're kind of womanizers. They're kind of talk a lot of shit, but they're also really smart.
This movie's growing on me.
It's definitely not what I was entirely expecting. I didn't realize that Oppenheimer was kind of a womanizing playboy type guy who was really snarky. I didn't know that but I guess it's true. And then I looked it up, and it was like, oh yeah, he was like cheating on his wife with everybody and all this stuff. And his wife knew about it. She was a cuck queen. So
as it should be.
So, but the thing that what I'm more interested in talking about now, 4 Pots of Gold, I loved it. I think if you have the opportunity to see it, especially on film, go see it. Even if it's just going to see it at the local movie theater, I think that you'll be very impressed by the way the story is told and how emotionally moving it all becomes, and the ending's fantastic and all that stuff. But what I kind of want to talk about more is the weird backlash that is happening against it, and some weird comments that Twitter users have made about this film. Okay. So one thing that amused me was seeing GIFs from the anime film Barefoot Gen start showing up on Twitter.
Okay, I've never heard of this show.
You've never heard of Barefoot Gen?
No.
You may have seen the GIFs. Barefoot Gen is about the bombing of Hiroshima.
Oh, okay.
And
do you know what I mean? What's sad about the whole thing is that people constantly forget that there was actually 2 bombs that were dropped in 2 separate cities.
Nagasaki.
And Nagasaki gets shafted every single time.
So this movie has become has gone back into the cultural zeitgeist because
for the Japanese,
because a lot of people want to virtue signal about how this movie does not. There was some guy online talking about how there's no Japanese people in this movie, and I was like, the fuck are you talking about? It's not about Japan. It's not about bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki. It's about the people who made the bomb, specifically this one guy, but also all of his team. And the consequences, the bigger consequences of that. And sorry,
before the actual events occurred themselves.
Right. It's not
like
the only
build up and process of it.
Spoiler, there's not like, okay, so this is why
spoiler, it's been 70 plus years, guys.
This is what Barefoot Gen is famous for. All these GIFs, which you see all the time, of its interpretation of the bombing of Hiroshima. And well, specifically Hiroshima, like even there's the dome building.
Even the Japanese forget about Nagasaki.
Well, this is from a memoir, so it's a really good film. I'm not putting it down, but my point is that I watched that movie in 1995, loved it, took away exactly what the obvious message of that movie is supposed to be. And then I went and saw Oppenheimer 25 years later. And you know what? I loved that too. Because if you actually watch the film, There is no message in this movie that's like, it was a great thing that we did this.
You know what? I think we talked about this subject matter a while
We've
back.
talked about
might
it
have been-
between us before.
Yeah, between us. I don't know if it was season 4 or maybe it was season 3 and stuff like that, but I had noticed online where a lot of people were having conflicting views as to the morality and the righteousness behind the decision to do that act.
Right.
And what was so weird that we kind of learned in a way was that a lot of younger people than us have absolutely no issue with that having to have occurred. And I don't know if they were necessarily just being edgy boy, but from what we were kind of getting the vibe from is that it was just regular 30, 20 somethings were going like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine. They were the bad, in their view, it's because they were the bad guys, regardless of whatever. So it basically kind of creates this sort of like rule or this idea that, you know, what could be considered in a sense like a war crime or something like that is fine as long as you're victorious afterwards.
Okay, 2 things about that.
So
First one is to all the people who were complaining about there not being Japanese people, as if that like changes the message of the film. The film literally shows Oppenheimer crawling through burned, charred corpses to articulate the horror he feels. Like he takes a step and he looks down and his foot is through a charred corpse because he knows what is going on in Japan and he is feeling the weight of it on his shoulders. The film makes no like illusion that this was like a great thing that happened. He's giving a speech and they're like at Los Alamos.
Los Alamos?
Yeah, Los Alamos. And they're all the people, like all the families are in the stands with their American flag screaming and stuff. And he's trying to give this speech and like it keeps flashing to like the explosion and he can barely get through it. And then he walks outside and this is where he like is crawling, like he steps on the charred body. He walks outside and there's other scientists vomiting. Like it's not displayed as a glamorous positive thing. Truman is portrayed as a like hillbilly gunslinger type guy who's just like, get this crybaby out of my White House, y'all. And like
Truman was actually a massive prick.
Truman is not demonstrate. He's like, I dropped the bomb, not you, asshole. I want the glory for dropping the bomb, and you're afraid of the guilt. Like, fuck off. Get out of the Oval Office. So all of that stuff's going on. Then to your other point about war crimes are only acceptable if you win. There's a movie called Fog of War. Errol Morris is the director. There is an interview with McNamara. I don't remember what his position was.
Oh, Robert McNamara, who was he was either secretary of war. Was it secretary at the time? It was like the U.S. War Department.
He has a very
something like that.
disturbing line where he says, and this isn't even about Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This is about the Tokyo fire bombings.
Yes, which is what Grave of the Fireflies was.
Yes.
Basically. Okay.
He says in that the fire bombings were so extensive and so extreme and so violent that he's like, there was a conscious acknowledgement within DC, within the government, that we have to win this war because otherwise we're all hanged for war crimes.
LeMay said if we'd lost the war, we'd all have been prosecuted as war criminals. And I think he's right. He, and I'd say I, were behaving as war criminals.
Like, and he says it just like totally, and like not in a like gloating way, but more like kind of like just awareness of what they were doing and how devastating what those attacks were, which is what Grave of the Fireflies
actual acknowledgement of the
this movie
severity
kind of says
actions.
that like implies that those were more violent and more like there was more deaths caused by that.
They talked about that was the other thing, like the firebombing of Dresden in the European theater and stuff like that. You know, where firebombings themselves are more, they were done more towards a direct impact upon. They were intended to be done as a direct impact upon the civilian population, whether they were for or against, or just Shinji Yamamoto just going to work at his his Dunbori shop and stuff like that. It's the average everyday person that's really like, this stuff is going on, and I'm just going and living my life, and oh crap, my entire town now is just hovel.
So I do believe that Oppenheimer is a very, on one hand, it's very inspiring. I mean, it's a duality film. It really is. It's like you've got a group of scientists who are fiercely patriotic and believed in the science and wanted to, and like the curiosity, is part of that, those scientific inclinations of just wanting to know if you can do it. And so they did it, and then a lot of them had to deal with the fallout, so to speak, of it. Great kind of like, there's like Albert Einstein is portrayed as kind of like this larger than life character, which is just fun. And because the thing, the movie is still, regardless of the topic, it is still just kind of it's just a good movie. So Albert Einstein being this kind of wise outside, slightly on the periphery of it, and he has quite a few scenes, is just kind of fun to watch. This actor do a really good Albert Einstein impression.
Who portrays him in the film?
I could find out for you. Would you like to?
Walter Matthau.
He's like, I'll do one more.
Green screened Walter
I'll do
Matthau
one
for like
more
20 plus years.
performance. But yeah, it's funny because the actual detonation for the Trinity test happens about 2 hours into the film, and then there's another hour left. And I was like, oh yeah, people say that the last hour, the third act, is really boring and unimpressive and all this. I loved it. It's all like fallout from the political ideologies, and like Oppenheimer getting very like, we should be focusing on nuclear energy and not on nuclear on hydrogen bombs.
Yeah, we should use this technology to help mankind rather than help destroy it or use it in nefarious methods.
So it turns into all of like this government trying to take him down for that stuff, and I don't know any of that story. So the way it developed in the movie,
typical government. The
way it developed in the movie was really exciting, and I was really into it. So I just found it to be, the whole movie, I was sort of like, oh wow, this is actually really, really good. I had no interest in Oppenheimer. I just trusted that Christopher Nolan knows how to make a really good film. God damn it, he did.
Would you really do? I mean, can you think of like off the top of your head, like a Nolan film that you would consider to be actually like bad?
No.
Okay. At least like decent to, and above.
I would say Tenet is probably his weakest, but I still would give it 3 pots of gold.
And the only reason like either of us would ever say something like that was because of there was, all the other things surrounding Tenet at the time.
Well, I mean, and just like the story is just a little too I don't even know, maybe I'm being too hard on Tenet. I like,
because it's a time travel thing, right?
Kind of.
Or like time looping.
It's sort of like, it's a time looping, time travel type thing. It's and never mind. I'd give this 3.5 pots of gold. I really liked Tenet. I'm not going to get bullied into saying that I didn't think it was that good. So the only movie that he's made that I kind of was a little lukewarm towards, honestly, might be Inception. I know everybody loves it. Oh, you know what? Never mind. I'm going to say
Justice League?
No. I forgot.
What is this?
This is a producer list. I didn't realize.
Oh, for him?
Yeah, I didn't realize he produced all that stuff.
Oh, wow.
Dark Knight Rises is a little bit lacking.
Yeah, I feel like pretty much compared to like The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
It's kind of Following. I thought Following came out after Memento, but I was probably wrong.
This is his like a short film that he made.
Short film. So, Insomnia is actually it's actually a good like sleeper type of movie.
It's a good remake. Well, I mean, like all of his films are like 7 out of 10s on IMDb. So I don't know. I don't think that he's ever made a bad movie. I need to revisit The Prestige. I remember thinking The Prestige was really odd. Mm-hmm. But it has an 8.5. We get 8.7 for Oppenheimer.
Way. Oh, it's a short. Okay. Dunkirk, Tenet. Even Tenet.
8.7 for Interstellar. 9.0 for The Dark Knight. Memento.
What did Batman Begins get? 8.2? Is that an 8.2?
8.2. Yep.
8.2. Okay.
So I get if he's not your cup of tea, but I don't think it's fair to say that he's a bad filmmaker. I think that would be a disingenuous statement.
You know, compared to the stuff that just gets churned out on a regular basis in movie theaters, like at least Nolan is kind of like not finally gotten to the point, but he's that kind of established director that you know from his last name being attributed to the film project, you know it's going to be a good solid film. It's going to be a film that you go into the theater and you're actually going to be challenged to think about what's going on the screen rather than just, you know, consume product and stuff like that.
Well, and it's also the other thing that I find really admirable about his movies is that he has managed. I love David Lynch, let's say. He is not mass appeal on any level. I love Paul Thomas Anderson. He is not mass appeal on any level. There's a bunch of filmmakers that I really admire, but they're not going to bring in. They're not going to get a $300 million budget. The studio's not going to trust that their movie is going to bring in.
Right.
We'll
give it to Joe Schmo who's going to blow it on The Flash.
Right. Or, yeah, exactly. So you've got like all of this drivel, these effects heavy, bombastic, spectacle cinema. Yeah. Christopher Nolan is like the only auteur in that world that's doing interesting, original stuff. Like, remember when we were talking about...
And on a technical level, too, with like the effects, because wasn't the actual...
explosion.
The explosion wasn't done via like
just a bunch
actual
of,
like practical effects or something
like that.
There was a lot of
TNT and gasoline was how they did it.
That's how they did it back then too. Because wasn't the budget like relatively low for a modern film, like $100 million or something?
150 million, I think, is where it ended up.
That's like it's funny to say it's kind of like an indie student film budget nowadays.
Well, I mean, that's the thing that's interesting and like you can't argue with is that so this movie is great reviews from critics, great reviews from audiences. It's a 3-hour biopic, thriller drama with, I mean, it's Cillian Murphy. It's not like it's not Tom Cruise. It's not, it's not like any like giant lead. Cillian Murphy is hardly a headliner.
I don't even think there's any real. Apart from the guys that were like in the Avengers and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, Timothy Chalamet. I mean, really. I mean, that's unfortunately when I think of like who's going to be your leading guy, it's like
Timothy Chalamet.
This waif.
So no, I think that if you like going to a movie in a theater, you owe it to yourself to go see the spectacle. If you need to see Barbie, fine, go see Barbie.
Right.
But in terms of what will make you love cinema, Oppenheimer is kind of, in my opinion, what cinema is all about.
Yeah. And what's funny
category.
Yeah. So how many? What would you give it then, sir?
4 to 4 pots of gold.
4. Okay, yeah. Solid 4 for Mr.
Nolan.
I was going to call Mr. Oppenheimer. Mr. Nolan for Mr. Oppenheimer. Getting back to the thing about, you know, the budget for it and things like that, and how, you know, Nolan can command people to go and see a film simply because of his name, similar to how Spielberg used to be back in the day.
Yep.
You know, where it was like there were certain types of directors back in the day, like Scorsese was another one where people would be like, oh, there's a new Scorsese. Probably apart from Nolan, the only one I can think of right now that can do stuff like that would be Tarantino.
Absolutely.
And he's only got one more left in the tank until he's like, peace out. You know, he might, I'm guessing he might do just producing, maybe some screenplay writing, but actual directing, he might be done.
Tarantino says that he would go to writing novels, which he kind of dabbled a bit with the novelization of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He wrote that, which has a lot of extra stuff in it. And then I think he says he would do plays and maybe television, but he wouldn't do any feature films
I wonder
ever
if he would
again.
do graphic novels.
I could see that.
Which you could do. Yeah, but I mean, when we talk about, Oppenheimer and Barbie coming out, like they came out the same weekend, right? It wasn't like a week apart or anything.
Yes, they came out exactly the same weekend.
So we got the whole Barbie-heimer type of thing. What's funny about these is that we're in late July already, in summer. Yep. And the two films in this summer release schedule that have gotten the most word of mouth and talk and stuff like that has been a movie about Barbie and about the guy who invented, the atomic bomb. And it's so weird that, when you think of summer in the past, like when we were kids, you always had the big, huge popcorn flick with the tie-in at McDonald's, or there was a tie-in at Suncoast. Blockbuster would have like promotions for us, like, go and see this movie and then come here because we'll have the copies the day it's released on home video and stuff. None of these movies anymore kind of do this because they can release a lot of these films throughout the year and get a whole bunch of money. But it's nice that, this summer has been a dribble, quite frankly. And then the two summer, I guess you would call them blockbusters, I suppose. I don't know what Barbie pulled in and stuff, but the two big movies are just stuff that would not be that stereotypical, summer blockbusters that we used to have when we were younger and we were kids, like Men in Black, Independence Day, Jurassic Park, some Schwarzenegger film or something like that. Speed. I don't know when Speed came out, but I'm just, those
94,
kind of examples.
I think Speed was 94.
Yeah, or if it was done in the summertime or something. Even Fast and Furious, I feel like.
94. Man.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I feel like some of these movies, like, they sort of are almost like, there's no point for them to be released in the American, area. Just, they're pretty much already made for like overseas.
Yeah, but even overseas, aside from
purposes.
like India now, China has kind of lost interest in American cinema, it seems.
They've gotten their own. Oh, okay.
I'm looking at the movies that bombed.
Matt Damon's doing the films out there now.
Matt Damon's in Oppenheimer.
Doesn't he play like a
He's like the main
general or colonel or
he's like
something
the main
like that?
general that's involved. He does a really good job. I know Matt Damon is kind of a meme, but so like there's some movies I never heard of. The Covenant, I guess that's a Guy Ritchie film. Hypnotic. I did hear about that. Robert Rodriguez movie starring Ben Affleck. I did hear about that.
Robert Rodriguez just
Yeah. But then we get into, so like these are the movies that we would have seen as kids. Shazam, Ant-Man,
yep.
Elemental, Indiana Jones, and The Flash. This is leaving off
those top 5 right there is just.
This is leaving off the like The Little Mermaid should be on this list as it didn't like bomb, but it flopped.
I saw stuff about them trying to kind of downplay that thing, saying, "Oh, well, it's gaining traction in the overseas market," and it's like
it really isn't.
Back when we were kids, there was no such thing as the overseas market, so a lot of these movies that make money, like, they're so lucky that they have legs in the overseas market.
So this is not good. Budget of $250 million. That means to get to break even point, 250.
I would say 400.
2.5.
Oh, 2.5. Yeah.
Oops, my bad.
Do they really actually double the budget for marketing purposes?
No, this is the calculation that takes into consider marketing. $625 million to break even. The equation is 2.5 budget because theaters take between 20 to 50% depending on the market. The United States, I think, is 50% cut from the theaters. Foreign is anywhere between 40 and 20 depending on what theater it is. So that's part of it, and then also the marketing is usually half the production budget. So what, 125 million?
Mm-hmm.
So
some of these movies I didn't even see any type of marketing whatsoever.
So 625 million to break even, not to make a profit. So they still need almost 100 million more to break even. That's not great.
That's bad.
That's bad.
That doesn't. Is that taking into consideration? I mean, nowadays with streaming and stuff, that doesn't take. I mean, back in our old fart days, that doesn't take into account like the VHS home sales.
Well, no, because there aren't any anymore, and this is going to go to Disney Plus, which means maybe on paper they'll try to inflate the budget and say, oh, it made more money because when it went to Disney Plus.
Yeah,
well, it
they love to
doesn't,
cook their
because if Netflix would give them $25 million for streaming rights, then yes, that gets figured in. But it's not going to Netflix; it's going to their own label, so there's no outside money.
I know, like a lot of times, like I would see like something's coming to Disney Plus. So it's like, oh, I already had subscribed to Disney Plus, so whatever, it's part of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But then I go on Amazon Prime, they say, oh, you can rent or buy the exact same Disney movie. So I'm like, how many people are actually going to go and do that in Prime? Because more than likely they're like, I'm going to pay the $10 a month to get Disney Plus, and I don't have to pay anything extra, you know.
So to me, it's like it is weird, like you're saying that, like when we were kids, there were like these movies that mom and dad and the two kids would go out and spend money to go see, and you'd have four tickets being sold to one movie, one family. Yeah. Now it's just like lonely middle-aged sad men who go see Oppenheimer, and then like
Wizards.
Yeah. I think how many years between partners is it before wizardhood is instated?
Oh, it's getting there.
Do we count in years? Do we count in months?
Wizard time.
But anyway, Barbie, meanwhile, is for all of the like. I mean, I don't know how many little girls are going to Barbie. I have no idea if that's really a thing. It doesn't seem like it would be.
No. Once word got out about the actual plot and subject matter of Barbie, I think a lot of the moms were just like, maybe not. We're going to go and see Oppenheimer.
Well, it ends with her going to the gynecologist. I mean,
yeah.
Is that really
It
necessary?
was a weird... It feels almost like some bizarre, like, viral satire film, or like a satire, like, type of scenario on like SNL or something like that was made into a film or something like that.
I'm just trying to find a picture of like an audience. Okay.
But I'm guessing if a lot of like normie females just went to see it, they would like walk in there and be like, oh, that's what the movie's about.
Okay. So it's not, I
mean,
this is just
Erica wants to go and do that. She was planning on going and seeing it, and I don't think she's making any effort to go and see it, quite frankly.
Is she going to go see Oppenheimer?
She's going to go and watch Dunkirk again.
Well, at least she's not pregnant this time.
No. Or... Oh, God. Oh, God.
So...
God, the smell in that. I can imagine it.
So, yeah, so these aren't little girls.
Don't enhance.
These aren't kids. These are... And then look at this guy.
Look
at that guy. Is that JonTron?
God, John's wife dragged him out there. He's like, God, I hope I get some tonight for doing this.
But yeah, the point is again, I don't know that there's little girls going to see Barbie. So the whole point I was getting at was that these are not being driven by family and children movies. It's being driven by adults going to the movie theater,
which is so refreshing because adult movies is something that has been severely lacking for at least 15 years at this point. You know, there's not like some sort of like, hey, we're going on a date, let's go and see this movie. It's got a lot of really good reviews. Like, what is it? Prognosis Negative, which was a film on Seinfeld that they went and saw, which is like an adult film of some sort.
But imagine that in a world with Marvel and DC and
Star Wars
and Mission Impossible and India. Okay, in a summer of Mission Impossible, Marvel, DC, and Indiana Jones, Oppenheimer biopic outgrosses it.
Yeah.
3 hours long, R-rated, with boobies and everything.
Well, that's funny because I heard people saying like, oh, well, the movie's too long. These are the people who went and saw Marvel movies where some of those films were like 2.5, almost 3 hours. Like
Endgame was 3 hours.
Exactly. And it's like, why is it? Because you need flashy stuff on screen? You need to play with like the jangly keys to get you to sit there for 3 hours?
I mean, Oppenheimer is very briskly, aggressively edited. There is a lot of stuff going on. There is a lot of explosions. It's at least little shots of explosions and stuff going on. And it's like, so it is not like the methodical, slow-paced historical film that people might be thinking it would be, but it's still very interesting, very compelling film. So anyway, Alex, do you want to wrap up episode 418 and a half?
Yes. Thank you very much for tuning in to this mini micro episode. It was episode 418.5 or a half for our metric using friends over the pond. Oh, by the way, speaking of metric, I was looking up sourdough bread recipes and I found Claire's. She wrote hers very weird. She talks about how you need to have like 700 grams of this.
Claire Saffitz from Bon Appetit.
Claire.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Yes. Yes. Your culinary waifu. Where she's talking about using like the metric measurements for the ingredients. And then when she talks about baking it, it goes for, put your oven at like 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm like, why Fahrenheit? You know, and then she's talking about like, yeah, the dough when it rises, it should rise up at least like 2 inches and stuff like that. And it's like inches, again, imperial measurement. Why are we going from metric for the ingredients to then imperial for the temperature? And I mean, that's just me nitpicking and all, but I'm saying, anyways, thank you very much for tuning in, listening to the review about the hard Baja Blast, Oppenheimer, and then whatever else Brendan decides to go and put in this
Alex,
episode. I don't know.
Brevity is the soul of wit. It is.
Sure, yes. But anyways, thanks again. We will see you next time here on Culture Doom. Until then, Dr. Botching it.